Well, that's the lesson to everyone. Be authentic, be vulnerable, because people can't relate to somebody that isn't vulnerable.
Right.
You know, we as human beings are vulnerable, and particularly in this space in chronic illness, we're going through some shit, and you got to share your shit.
Absolutely.
Hashtag share your shit.
Share it, because the thing is too.
Hello, I'm Kathy Chester, and this is Move It or Lose It, a podcast about all things that move the mind, body, spirit, and soul.
And well, welcome to another episode of Move It or Lose It, a podcast about moving our body and understanding what it is like to have an autoimmune disease and talking about that. Today's guest, I'm so excited. I've known her for a while. I've been able to have chats with her. She's been a blessing to me when I've asked questions about how do you do this crazy podcast? Who do I need? How does this work? So I think we all know her and love her at FUMS, Kathy Raegan Young. Welcome to my show.
Hi, thank you. Thanks so much for the invitation, and congratulations on the podcast.
Thank you very much. So so much has been going on with you. I turn on social media. There you are. And I love it. You're like too much of me.
Too much of me. I'm sick of me.
So that's what I always say. I always used to say when I was a pastor's wife, I'm so tired of my own testimony. I'm just going to start making them up, because you go on all these interviews and you feel like you're at a pageant. Right. And I'm like, can I make up something else? Mine's getting boring to me. So I get you.
Yeah.
So Kathy, tell the viewers that don't know, what has been going on for you with your two daughters, your youngest?
Yes. Okay, I'm going to try and get through this and not cry. But I just dropped my daughter off 2 days ago at college at James Madison University. Woohoo, go Roll Dukes. In Harrisonburg, Virginia, up in the mountains. It's gorgeous. But she was crying her eyes out when I left her, and it was so hard. But much like when she was little, that tore me up all day long. And then I get a message from her later, and she's had a great day and she's happy and everything's good. And I'm like, oh my God, why did I spend that entire day so torn up?
Yeah.
Typical.
Thinking, why did I leave? And now she's having the time of her life.
Poor baby. And she's great. She's loving it. And my other daughter, Maggie May, so that's Raegan. And my other daughter, Maggie May, is 2 years older than her, 20. And I can't even believe I'm saying that. And she is at the University of Mary Washington in Fredericksburg, Virginia. So,
Great. That's
killing
beautiful.
the game, both my gals, but it's, oh my God, it's so quiet. So a year ago, I had 4 people in this house and 2 dogs. And when I came home from dropping off Raegan, I have just me and 1 dog that is actually a cat in a dog suit, because this dog just wants nothing to do with anyone until she wants something to do with you, just like a cat. So I can't rely. She's sitting right here looking at me like, shut up. You're really wrecking a good nap right now.
Well, Kathy, I could not have my puppy. I have a puppy golden retriever that will actually be a service dog to me. So once I started having seizures, which was, a new exciting event, I realized that, I really wanted to get, I had to talk my husband into this, and I said, well, it's cheaper than a nurse coming in every day.
Right.
And so far as a puppy, I'm wondering, I'm servicing her. She's not servicing me at all.
Oh yeah.
But it'll all come.
That's puppies.
But I could never have her in here, because she would just be all over everything, the ring all over.
Right.
So I understand. So
this one's 12. She's very tired, and she's like, just be quiet, please.
So what does that feel for you? I remember, so it was right before COVID started, and my son, a few months before, and my youngest said, he had that look. He had come back from a weekend away with his friends. And I was like, oh, it's time. Like he's
ready.
Was going to a, college in here in this area, local. And he was like, I'm ready. Now funny thing is, he moved in with his sister right before COVID. So they've been stuck together.
Oh, Yeah. I was going to say, is that a good thing or a bad thing, or a little of both? Probably.
Yeah, a little bit of both.
Uh-huh.
You got it. A little bit of both.
Yeah.
So now tell me, how's she doing at college now? She's still doing
fantastic. So I got a message. I didn't get it till this morning because, she's up much later than I am.
right.
And they had, kind of what I would call old school, a pep rally.
Yeah.
Certainly
right.
that's not
what did they call it? That's
I don't even know. I don't even know, but it wasn't that. I can tell you that
I
much.
don't know either.
And, the stadium was rocking, and she's having a blast. She's doing great.
So good.
Yeah.
That's so good to hear.
It is.
Tell me about the quiet. What does that feel like?
Oh my God. I've only had, so this is just my second day, but I can tell you it is fucking deafening. It is so deafening. It's, until I lived it. I mean, I've been trying to prepare for this for a long time. I knew it was coming, but,
it doesn't quite get you ready until I remember when my oldest went.
Quiet.
I went into this frenzy in the car. So it was a couple-hour drive, and I felt like I needed to tell him anything I missed as a mom. Like, I'm going to just go through the list. Did I tell you about strangers? He's like, Mom, I'm 18. Okay. Right. But it was just the funny of, I had to catch up. I've got to make sure you know everything. And he was
Mom
like,
101 in the next hour.
And the funniest thing, he put his hand on my shoulder. He goes, Mom, I love you. I'm ready. You're good.
I got this,
You did
Mom.
a good job.
Yeah, you did a good job, Mom. Yeah.
So I'm sure that your daughter was very much the same.
Oh, she's so ready. Yeah. Both of them are really solid, amazing human beings that I am just so lucky to get to be their mom. They're just the absolute bright spots of my life, for sure.
That's a very fun when they become older and you get this friendship with them.
Yeah.
It's very neat.
Yeah.
So Kathy Raegan, I want to talk about you and when you formed FUMS. And how did you decide on that name?
Well, so I was diagnosed in 2008, and then it took me a couple years to really get my legs under me. That's really a bad pun for MS, but true. I just needed to figure it out and see what it was really going to be like, which I just found out yesterday that my husband's cousin was just diagnosed. She's here in Virginia Beach. So I'm in the hospital. So I'm going to go see her later and try and assumedly talk her off the ledge. Cause you remember what that's like when you hear that diagnosis, like, holy shit.
Yes.
Anyway, I was diagnosed in 2008, took a couple of years to figure out that this is, it's not a death sentence. But it is a life sentence. And but you got to figure out your life going forward, but there can be a lot of life, like emphasis on the life. Right.
Yes.
And, I wanted to create something that I wished had been there for me when I was diagnosed. There was nothing in 2008. I can assure you what was on the interwebs was super scary. And basically, choose your favorite color for your wheelchair. And then also a coffin. Because both are to be expected soon. Yeah. That was
we talked about that before, the glossy pamphlets. Where my husband went to the cardiologist, there were no glossy pamphlets.
Yeah.
He sat down and said, this is what's happening. This. And it was so different. I'm like, my world doesn't work like this.
Right.
I get pamphlets. I get told, what do you think?
Yeah.
What do you want to be on? Well,
my doctor pushed up when he said, you have multiple sclerosis, and he pushed over a bunch of big, thick 3-ring binders and said, go home, read up, and let me know what you want to get on. And I'm thinking, aren't you the one with the medical degree? Because I have a degree in English. So I'm confident that I can read the shit out of this, but understanding it and knowing what's best for me, whole other level of education that I did not sign up for.
It's disappointing to me that I was diagnosed, again, symptoms diagnosed, it's all, probably had it, in 1995. So, I mean, getting diagnosed in the later 90s, it's just disappointing that they would give me still, I'm really aging myself, a VHS tape of like this older couple, like kind of, like going on a slow walk, and then a wheelchair, then same thing, then it declines from there. Yeah. And it was like, this is, I'm new, I'm in my 20s.
Right.
And I'm like, this is my life.
Welcome to your life.
Right.
Yeah.
And then here's 2 VHS tapes, pick which one. Back then it was, the 2 choices I was given was Avonex and Copaxone. So those were the 2, and they both sounded lovely.
Yes.
So it was,
yes.
it was,
I think betaseron was available at that time, but maybe they didn't give you that choice because it was the ABC back then.
Yes, exactly. Betaseron was, but betaseron I think was starting to come off a little bit. They were finding some scary information about it. So he didn't
when was
offer
that? The late 90s?
Yeah, late 90s, early 2000, when they were switching me from Avonex because it wasn't working.
Yeah.
Shocking. And then they decided to try that. They were going to put me on that. And then I switched over to a new neurologist, and he said no to betaseron.
Isn't that interesting? So fast forward to 2008, and I was put on betaseron.
Wow.
Yeah. And I had a horrible time for 5 years. And I attribute that to, I had no idea. I was diagnosed and started betaseron within 2 weeks. Right. So I didn't know what was MS and what was the drug. It never occurred to me all of this shit I was going through could be the drug. Exactly. I thought it was, this is life with MS.
Yeah. This is now our new normal.
Right.
And I think back then too, there was such a, we didn't know, we were afraid. It was, I trusted exactly what the doctor said. Right. There was no way I was going. I mean, I was thrown Ambien and this and this. And
me too.
A million pills. And I'm like, steroid infusions out that now I need jaw surgery. My mouth is you don't know about that when you're young.
Yeah. You don't know what to ask either. No. You just trust. You think you can trust.
Advocate. I don't even know what this is. So that's not something you can even have the strength to do right away. And I know some of our MS patients that are newly diagnosed want to go in and do that and help. And I'm like, you've got to first understand what you have. You got to grieve that. Give yourself some time. You'll have time to advocate and help. Believe me.
100%. That's great advice. And so that's where I was at 2008. Took a couple years, figured it out, saw that there was a lot of life left, but mind you, I was still on betaseron. So I wasn't doing I wasn't doing great, but I wasn't, on my deathbed like I thought I might be when I was diagnosed. So I just created FUMS as someplace that I wish had been available when I was diagnosed. And it was really to just kind of share my story mostly and encourage others and let them know you don't have to be scared. It's really, you can manage symptoms, and there are these DMTs, and my tagline is information, inspiration, and motivation for living your best life with MS. And literally that's what my intention was. And that's what I did. I blogged for a number of years. And then in 2015, so I started that in 2011. And then in 2015, I started the podcast solely because I was, and still am, podcast crazy. I think we've talked about that, and we're both like podcast crazy ladies. And I just love the format. I love it. You can learn about anything on a podcast, and you can be, and for those of us that, can't sit still, I can be doing 2 things at once, which just makes my heart sing. So
absolutely.
I love it. And and I
felt
the name. FUMS. I mean, it does stand for what you think it does. I'm saying fuck you to MS every day. And I would get out of bed, it was completely unconscious.
I forgot to maybe subconscious. I got my cap that says FUMS.
Me too.
And I've got,
but we both got some orange on. Yeah. That's good.
Yes.
So I didn't think it up. I mean, I just kind of took notice that I would say that. Like when I get up in the morning, I would be saying in my head, FUMS, like I just got out of bed. Take that, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
And when I was initially diagnosed, what really, a lot of things really got me down, but what really bothered me was that I felt so out of control. I felt like something else took control, including the doctor. And I hate being out of control. That's not okay by me.
You're the oldest?
No, I'm the youngest, but kind of raised like the oldest because my siblings are so much older than I am. I was really raised by myself.
I'm really into the birth order book. So I'm always, I love that. But you're right. The youngest becomes an only child, or the oldest when there's that big separation.
At age 9, it was just me from there forward. So yeah. And so I needed some control, and that gave me control. It gave me a sense of control. Like I had something to say. I felt empowered by saying that. And so when I started that blog, it just made sense to, but I did find right away that some people were offended by that, which cracked me up. Yes. And so then I said, well, for those of you that are sensitive, it's fundamental understanding of multiple sclerosis. But we all know it's fuck you, MS.
Yes, absolutely.
Whatever.
And there are many times that I get up and I'm just like, fuck you, I'm not doing this today. I'm not. Those days where you wake up and you know today's going to be a couch day. And everything's going to be, put off. And sometimes I would say, when were you comfortable saying that out loud to your audience, or to, let's say you had a podcast coming up and you woke up and it wasn't just fog brain. It wasn't just like, please, Lord Jesus, help the words come out. But it was just, I cannot nothing's coming out. I don't even know the difference between a spoon and a plate. I can't say that.
Executive functioning's gone.
It's just neurotransmitters have disconnected, and I'm like, don't know what to say.
I should check that on my blog, but I'm pretty sure I talked about it right away, because cog fog is one of my biggest issues, always has been. And it's so pervasive. It informs the rest of my symptoms. You know what I mean?
Right. Absolutely.
So I'm sure I talked about it right away. I was just dedicated to talking about everything. And so I just shockingly, I lay everything out there. In fact, we talked a little bit about this, that I have a book called Bowel and Bladder Issues in Multiple Sclerosis by two pea brains with potty mouths talking shit about MS.
I was either going to say it or have you, because I thought the title's so awesome.
It is a fun title. It's fun to say.
I'm getting that book 100%.
Well, that was born out of, I would get so many questions from people about bowel and bladder issues. And I'm knocking on wood, being my head right now. That is not one of mine, thank goodness. But I recognized how pervasive it was. And my best friend is a pelvic floor dysfunction physical therapist. And I should say, the funniest thing about that is I had known her for years, and she and I were even business partners, but I didn't know what kind of PT she did. I just think that's so funny. And when I found out, I'm like, wait, you put your hands where? What?
I'm going to put that on your MS brain.
Yeah, whatever.
I don't remember. I will have people on, or my clients that I've known. I'm like, my husband will say, what do they do? I'm like,
oh yeah, I don't know.
I don't remember.
No, right. I know. So when I found that out, I was asking her questions, and then I'd go answer the individual question. And this went on for a while. And I thought, this is ridiculous. So I said to her, hey, would you just write an ebook about this? Because you have such great tips. And she knows about the drugs. She knows about the exercise. She knows about the food, everything. And it's all in there.
Yeah.
And she said, well, I'll write it if you write it with me. I'm like, I have nothing to add to this. And she goes, well, actually, you're quite the smart ass, and you're pretty funny. So this is a tough subject to talk about. Just add some humor. So I always say she wrote the smart thinky part, and I wrote the smart assy part.
Yeah, I love that. That's perfect.
Literally all that I contributed was just smart ass comments in there. But
I love it, because it is. I do have the bladder issues. So I will joke around, and you have to laugh, right? You've got to laugh at the symptoms, or else you go bananas.
Right.
And I try to go for a run, even though I couldn't feel my feet, with my running club, and all of a sudden, no message, nothing.
Right.
Just be like,
ta-da.
And of course, it was when I was wearing like white, or like a light little bit, shorts, and I'm like,
it's going to be super obvious.
So. My running club did have to know quickly. So did they understand it? No, but they knew that. They just knew I was sick, but didn't look sick.
Yeah.
And I think it was.
And sometimes she pees herself, whatever.
Right. Sometimes I pee and fall. So expect me to fall and I'll pee. So they make fun of me.
I'm a fun friend to have.
They're like, we're going to diaper you. Right.
Yeah,
diaper you up and bubble wrap you. And
put pillows around you.
Yeah. I think it's the ability, and I love what I loved about your podcast when I started listening a couple of years ago was the humor that you have with such. You've got some very big topics that you bring in to the podcast. It's not. I love that you go between fun and hysterical funny. And you'll have then also some guests on that are just so full of information that we desperately need. And I love that you go in between that.
Well, thank you. And, I always say, I started the podcast because I love podcasts and I love how intimate it is. Like at least I do. I feel like I know the podcast hosts. Like it would be embarrassing if I saw them because I think I know them. I think we're friends.
Right. Exactly.
So I may seem fangirly or like a stalker, whatever. But, so I wanted to establish that kind of, relationship with my community. Right. That's why I initially started it. But the big bonus is, I am my own avatar. I have MS too. So, I always say I could never call up, Columbia University Department of Neuropsychology and say, hey, I'm Kathy Raegan Young. I have MS and I have 15 questions I would like to ask the director of your program there and have them go, okay, let me put you right through. Yeah. You're going to say, get a damn appointment, fly your ass here. And maybe, in several months, we'll get you in.
4 hours of questions, blood work.
Right. But I call and say, hey, I'm Kathy Raegan Young with the FUMS podcast show, and I would like to interview the director of your program. And literally no one has ever said no. So I get to ask those questions. And I always put it out to my community. Hey, this is who I'm interviewing. What questions do you have? Because here's our opportunity. We get to ask this person for free.
Yeah, that's a great idea. That's great.
I found a backdoor in to ask all these experts any questions that I and my community have. I feel like
that's
I hit the jackpot. Yeah.
That's great advice too, to our, we know a lot of our young MSers are starting podcasts, and even the ones that finally feel like, darn, it's time, I'm doing this. For me, I shared with you, it was on my heart to do for the last 5-6 years. And the time just wasn't right with my work schedule, the gym. And when COVID happened, the blessings in that was it gave me time to really research exactly how I wanted it done and really go through that, because the world was shut down. So it gave me time to talk to people, like, would it this way be a good idea with this? So who were the people that you were able to go to and say, what do you think about this? How do I,
for the
did you
podcast
do it all on your own? Yes.
Well, I was listening at the time. I started listening to Pat Flynn. This is years and years ago. And I heard one day him reference who he learned everything from, which was Internet Business Mastery. 2 guys, Jason Van Orden and Jeremy Franson. And I started listening to them on their podcast, and they put together the IBM Academy, Internet Business Mastery Academy. And kind of as a side note, it really was not a separate course. It wasn't in depth, but it was a podcast, like 101 basically. And let me just tell you about what a pain in the ass it was back in those days to set up a podcast by yourself. I hate tech. I am tech averse. I hate it with a passion. I love what it can do for you. I hate having to do it, set it up, especially because I can work so hard and figure something out. And then the next time I go back to do it, I have no freaking idea.
Exactly.
It's like starting all over again. Yeah. So tip for all your listeners too. What I learned is I screen capture and I video my screen as I'm doing things and label it clearly, because when I have to go back next time, I can just watch what I did last time. It does not exist in my head anymore.
Right. No,
it's gone.
I even have labels on things that how I did it, because I will forget. Yeah. And so I think that you're right. A great tip is learning and not being so frustrated or prideful, that I don't need this. I will remember, because we know we won't. Yeah. And why add that stress and pressure to yourself? Exactly. Just deal, just accept. Acceptance really dials down your stress a lot. Quit fighting it. I have to say, have you found this? It's made me feel a little better, since our entire world now has fog. So it has made me feel like, well, I don't, I have a client and they're like, did I have an appointment today? And I think, okay, I'm okay. Like the whole world is still messed up. Welcome to my world. When COVID very, very, very first started, like we're just starting to hear about it and people are starting to freak out. I wrote a blog post. In fact, I want to go back and read that again, because
it was something like Dear Healthies, We're the Chronics, Welcome to Our World. And it was all about how,
Wow.
oh, now you notice when people are around you coughing or sneezing, or they're too close to you, or you're washing your hands now, or you're using, hand sanitizer. And I'm like, welcome to our world. That's us every fucking day. Because if we
Exactly.
get something,
Yes.
we get it twice as bad, it lasts twice as long, and it can mean a relapse. So
absolutely.
yeah,
I
same
did. I
thing
absolutely remember that. And I remember reading that from you, is that I remember feeling that way. And all of a sudden clients would come up to me and my friends would say, I get it. I get why
now I get it.
You always have, like, on a plane, I'm like,
right. Wiping
all over,
everything
and
down,
they'd
me
be
too.
like, weirdo. But now
Right.
it's like totally the norm, and it would be so abnormal for you to not have it.
Exactly.
So I always want to say, do you have hand sanitizer? I'm like, I've had that for 20 years.
Right.
I've been working with that.
I know all the good hand sanitizer too.
Yes. Yeah. So yeah, I agree. It's just, it is something that we did really feel like. I felt the same way, that when this happened, it was like, we got to share with people, like, we know how to slow things down. We know how to keep it calm, because we have many times that we have to do that. So it was as if we could help out a little bit with that, and be able to, to have them understand, yes, this is, and I have had several people come to me and say, wow, this is your daily.
Exactly. I had a friend say to me in the midst of COVID, like, I feel like I'm in a time warp. I can't figure out what day it is. And I'm just so confused. And it makes me feel stupid. And everything she's describing, I'm like, I'm just keeping my mouth shut. And then I could watch the light bulb go on over her head. And she goes, oh my God, this is what you deal with. I said, yep. Yes, it is.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's incredibly terrifying and frustrating.
It is. You can't understand it, I guess, until you go through it, for sure. But it's not good. Not good.
No, it's not. So I was reading about, so starting running FUMS, the blog podcast, finding your growing. How fast did you see the growth in that?
This was not a business venture for me when I started it at all. That was not in my mind at all. I just wanted to, like I said, have something up that was, I guess, welcoming to newbies, and could ease them in and let them see what my path has been, and that I'm okay, and that I'm living life differently, but I'm living life. And so I'm trying to think of even what year. I should know this. I'm going to claim cog fog, even though I'm not experiencing that today.
I'm having my first coffee, so don't get mad at me.
Okay.
I need it. I was like, I need coffee.
I could use some coffee. I don't have any right now. I've already had some. I wish we could, but I've already had some. Anyway, I don't remember what year it was, but so my daughters were 4 and 6 when I was diagnosed. And so obviously 3 years later, I started this podcast, and I think I had already gone back to, I would have already gone back to work. So my doctor immediately said, I was staying home with kids at the time. And he said, good thing that you're staying home with kids. Don't ever go back to work, because that's the worst thing that you could ever do. You really need to dial down your stress. Just take it easy. You need no stress in your life. And I thought, A, you're a man, and B, you obviously have never been home with kids, because I've never known more stress in my life than staying home with kids. Like, their lives are in my hand, dude. Every day I could fuck this up and kill somebody. So that's some stress. I could go back to work, and I don't care what.
When you see them as they're adults now, it is like, okay. Yeah. Because it is terrifying.
It is terrifying and shocking. I didn't kill them. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And there were times I wanted to, by the way.
Absolutely.
I didn't do that either.
Yeah.
So I did monetization, a business plan came much later. So my point was, the doctor said, don't ever go back to work, which to my personality, what I heard was go back to work as soon as possible and full time. So it was 2 years later, because my youngest then was in school full time. So I went back to work. I did marketing for a physical therapy company in the area, and I loved it. I loved it.
Yes.
And I was driving to doctor's offices every day, and I was meeting with all kinds of people, and it was fun and wonderful.
Yeah.
I started out marketing for 3 clinics and ended up with 8, and it went quickly.
Wow.
They kept expanding, and it just was so stressful by the end. And, everything's in hindsight. So 6 months prior to me actually leaving is when the little minor fender benders started happening, and, little minor fuck ups here and there and whatever.
Right.
And I deny everything. I am Cleopatra, queen of denial.
Right. I can do it. I
That
got
had
it.
nothing to do with MS. I don't know what you're talking about.
Right.
But the final straw was one day I was driving between 2 doctor's offices in Virginia Beach, and all of a sudden, you know how this can happen. I mean, there's no warning. All of a sudden, I literally could not determine which was the brake and which was the gas, and which side of the road I should be driving on.
Yeah.
I had my shit together enough to know this is not a good thing. This is dangerous for literally every human being on the road, including myself. Wow. So I pulled over and called my husband, and that turned out to be my last day of work. So
really,
yeah, I came home, and it was no question the best thing for my health, because that had just gotten to be too much stress.
Now, were you able to get on disability right away?
No. Let me tell you that fucking fiasco. I am full of F-bombs today. I'm sorry to your audience.
Sorry,
I'm FUMS, so you can expect some, but there's a lot coming out today. I apologize. Every other day I throw
you go for it.
F-bombs.
You do it.
So that was a fucking fiasco though, because I have a lot to say about our healthcare system and just our general safety.
You and me both, girl. You can go for it. Go for it.
In this country. Yeah. So with disability, I mean, I knew nothing about it. I don't even claim to know that much now, but here's what I do know. It is based on your time having worked. And mind you, I started working when I was 11 because I wanted to work. That's my personality.
Yeah. I was going to say, I know we're very similar because I was in 7th grade and I took over. I decided I could take over the Dairy Queen. So
that's a good job.
Right.
You were smart. I worked at a vet clinic where I was scooping shit.
Kathy.
Listen to this. I was 11 or 12. As a mother, I cannot believe this happened. And I can't believe that my parents let this happen, but God rest their souls. I'm going to assume they didn't know about this, because this is horrible. What? They had me holding animals as they put them down and then putting them in a freezer at 11 or 12.
Kathy.
Isn't that horrible?
Gosh, what that must have done to you.
I know.
Wow.
That explains a lot.
Yeah, I'm surprised you
about
have
the way my
right then.
brain works. Yeah.
Wow.
So that happened. Yeah. So,
but you haven't put any dead people in the freezer yet?
I mean, not yet, but I know how to do it. So yeah.
Just so we know that Kathy Raegan could get you ready.
I could do it.
Put you to sleep and put you in the freezer.
I could do it. Yeah. So I could do it if you want me to or not. Like,
I'll let you know if someone gets me really mad.
Right.
I'll call you.
I'm like the MS mafia.
Right.
I can make shit happen.
Forget that I'm Italian. I'm going to call you for the MS mafia now.
I'm the Irish mafia. Yeah. So we digress yet again. Yeah. So I came home. That was absolutely the best thing because I did dial down my stress. Mind you, my kids were at school all day. So still had stress when they came home.
Amen. Yeah.
But I always say this, my paychecks quit coming and my bills didn't. So I needed to figure out how to generate an income, but stay home and take care of myself.
Right.
So that was a challenge. And I looked around and realized that I had this asset, which I hadn't looked at as an asset before, but FUMSnow.com. I had written many, many blog posts. By this point, I had many podcasts. And I thought, okay, well, I don't know how to monetize this, but I know people do it. So I'm going to figure this out. And I took online courses and I signed up with coaches, most of which 100% of the coaches were bullshit. And I spent so much money on nothing. Yes. And most of the courses as well were useless. Yeah. There's so many scammers out there. It's ridiculous.
I love that, Ken, that you said that. I will have a person that will, immediately want to talk to me about, and like, have you read about this? Because of what I do with training and movement and without my autoimmune clients, and they'll want to, take a course. And I'm like, that, please read up on that, because there are so many, my gosh. And I don't know if you've seen this, but with 2020 happening, so many more were taking advantage of that. And it was like, you had so many people in all, the whole world, and our our sick people were so desperate and terrified that they were signing up for everything.
Yeah.
And so you're absolutely right. Those courses were ridiculous.
Yeah. And it was fairly useless. Honestly, I did a lot of research on my own, a lot. So it took up a lot of time, energy, and money. But I pieced it together. It kind of wasn't all in one place. It wasn't. It was not easy, but I figured it out. And I added, I'm trying to think what I added first, probably some ads maybe on my blog, and then on my podcast, and then sponsorship, and then affiliate marketing. And then I started to be like the cool kids, it's a merch shop. Because I was like, I'm selling merchandise. And my girls go, Mom, it's a merch shop. I'm like, okay, starting the FUMS merch shop. So that was good. That's e-commerce, as I learned.
I love that. That's my new thing that I'm working on. So
yeah. So there's, I built slowly as I learned. And it wasn't easy to learn. And the technology was not where it is. I mean, that really moves so quickly. And I'm telling you, 2015, when I started the podcast, for instance, what is that, 6 years ago? It's like eons ago in technology time, because
oh gosh,
I just started a new podcast, and I had planned that it was going to be this just painful experience. And in 15 minutes, I had the whole thing set up. It was unbelievable to me. It was night and day. So
for sure.
Yeah. So
it's like not getting overstressed about it. And what mics do I want? I'm not sure. And right now I'm doing AirPods, and they're working great. Will I switch? Probably. But it's just, I would say for me, it was the hesitancy of getting started. Is this the time?
Yeah.
Have I let go of enough clients in the healthy world so that I can start this?
Right.
So would you say that in the patients and all the people that you interview, talk to that have autoimmune diseases, it is the fear of just getting started?
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Yeah. 100%. It's that. And it's a lot of people have imposter syndrome, which I suffered with for a time, meaning I would question myself and think, who the hell do I think I am? Like, how can I get in front of these people, and who wants to listen to me? And, all of those things.
Yeah.
I
and
had to get over.
Do I have something to offer that they want to hear?
Right. And do I really have the knowledge? Do I have the experience? I'm no expert. I don't want to be, I'm not a guru. I'm not an expert, but I have some experience. And that statement alone takes off so much pressure. I think when people think they have to be the expert, an expert is just being one step ahead of somebody. Exactly. That's an expert.
Just knowing. We're just old. So we know more.
Right. We've been around longer. So we know shit that you don't know.
Yeah. Right.
So, just kind of diving in and learning as much as I could, and monetizing piece by piece as I learned it. And most importantly, so along the way, I should say, I got found. I'm using my air quotes. What I mean by that is I started my podcast. I did 6 episodes, and then what do they call it? Pod faded. Not really. What I did, I stepped away for almost 2 years because my little local area was going through a tough time, and I saw where I could maybe be of some help. So I started doing that, like full on, full time, way too much, weekends, nights, all the time. But we got some things done in the area, and things turned around a bit. And so then I came back to FUMS. About that same time, I got an email from a vice president at healthline.com,
Okay.
which is now, I mean,
Right.
then I think they were the second largest. Now they're the largest health information
Right. I was
company
going to
online.
say.
They're huge. And anyway, and he's like, well, we want to start, we want to do some podcasts, MS podcasts, and we have no experience in this, and we like your podcast. So would you consider partnering with us? I thought I was being punked. I seriously thought somebody was punking me. And so
I would have too. I would have been like,
oh yeah,
going over any friend I have that would do that.
Particularly because I hadn't touched it. There were just 6 episodes. Wow. I hadn't touched it in at least 18 months, I think it was.
Okay.
And so 100% thought I was being punked. Totally ignored the message. I had been found also by a company that was launching, what the heck was it called? Isolate MS, maybe? This was a blood test to diagnose MS. And, you know, there is no specific test. I mean, it is a diagnosis of exclusion. And so this was super exciting. And they reached out to several MS bloggers and asked us to come to Nashville, I think it was. Okay. And meet with them for a couple of days and talk to them about MS and talk to them about how to market this and all of that sort of thing. So we did that. And I met these wonderful people and we had a great time.
Wow.
And as
what year was that?
I
know. I'm sorry. You're like really.
You're really asking a lot of me. I don't know.
Okay, we'll just say it was a few years ago.
Yeah, a couple years ago. And we were going to dinner one night on like a bus, and I overheard someone saying something about an article that they were writing, and I think it was. It wasn't Healthline. I think it was, Everyday Health, WebMD, something like that, about their experience. And I tapped him on the shoulder. I'm like, excuse me, did you just say that you write about your disease experience? And they said, yeah. And I said, and that gets published. And they said, yeah. And I said, do you get paid for that? And they said, well, yeah. I'm like, hold up. What is happening right now? There's like a patient advocacy industry I didn't even know existed. Right. And so I started talking to the other people on the little van thing and finding out that, they were writing articles and they were getting, deals to review things on their podcast. I mean, or on their blog. Nobody else was doing a podcast back then.
Right.
So I was completely unaware. And I searched and searched. There was no information on this industry.
Wow.
And so I literally said on that trip, I just got an email from somebody at Healthline and I ignored it because I thought I was being punked. And they're like, that's huge, girl. You need to get back to him. And I thought, really? Okay, girl, when I get home,
So did you call or send an email?
I emailed back. I'm sorry. I've been very busy, yada, yada.
I didn't know this was important. I thought you were joking.
I didn't think you were real. Thought this was bullshit. So anyway, back and forth. And eventually I produced 6 podcast episodes for them.
Wow.
And then at the same time, they were starting a new app. And it was originally called MS Buddy. Now it's MS Healthline.
Yeah.
And they wanted a guide, somebody in there to moderate and to start conversation and to do live chats 5 days a week, which is new. Nobody had ever done that before.
Right.
So they hired me for that. And I'm not even sure how my name got, because Healthline is huge organization. So I'm not sure how my name came up in these different departments, because I'm telling you, they normally don't talk to each other. Nobody knows. Wow. Maybe it's better now because Red Ventures has taken over and they consolidated, whatever. But back in the day, they really did not know the other one.
Right.
They didn't talk. So I'm not sure, but I got a message from someone in their content and editorial department asking me if they read my blog and they liked my writing and they wanted me to write an article for them. So I did. And then what came next? Their social media department contacted me and they needed somebody to do admin and moderation and posting, most importantly, social media management for their, what's it called? Wait, Living with MS. Yeah. Healthline's Living with MS Facebook page.
Yes.
So I said yes to that too. And
so now, did you have practice with social media a lot then, or did that?
Because I had been doing FUMS and I did all the social media for that. I just did promotion, right on social media, and they had seen that. So this is why I always tell everybody, just get out there, because there's a chance you might get found. You're worried about, finding who to contact. And I get that, but you might just get found, which is what happened to me. And then it just snowballed beyond that. Yeah. And I learned so much, by the doing, and then learned that, there's so many other companies out there that hire. As we were talking before we hit record, nobody knows the language of your condition.
Exactly.
But you. And so they really need to hire patients to speak to other patients. So it's really smart. And they've started in the last couple of years, really, there's the hashtag Ask Patients, and they've really started listening and seeking out patients' opinions and patient writing, and just a lot has opened up. And so I was actually pulling weeds one day, which is the best place for me to think. And I realized that I, at that time, was now making more money working for myself. I call myself a chronicpreneur, in my chronicpreneur business than I ever did working for someone else. And I was taking really good care of myself. If I can work from my recliner, my bed, the hospital infusion center, wherever there's an internet connection, I can work. And I just worked to set myself up with the lifestyle, the chronicpreneur lifestyle that I wanted. I wanted to be geographically independent so I could go visit friends or do whatever, or just be still at home or whatever, work in my backyard. I didn't have to get up and get dressed every morning. I mean, I got dressed for you. You should feel very honored.
Thank you. I just wore the MS t-shirt. I'm like,
I have makeup on and everything. That
I know. You look so pretty.
Thanks.
You look great today.
I was having trouble remembering how to do that, but, so I was just mindful of what I wanted the end to look like. And that's what I pursued. And I was just about to say, my friend Erin would be mad at me for saying, I was going to say I got lucky. I didn't get lucky. I worked hard. I put myself out there, and then I got found. I was recognized for the work that I did.
You absolutely.
Erin is going to be, Erin, do you hear what I said?
Yes. Erin, I'm glad. Listen to what she said, because you're absolutely right. That's not luck. It is hard work and being found. Yeah. And you put a lot into that.
I put it out there and people noticed. That's the way to put it, I guess.
Funny. And you do your interviews. I mean, I told you this. My biggest compliment to you was, after listening, before you start something, you listen to, I had the luxury now of the last, several years, listening to all different podcasts. And, some days I want information. Some days I just want to laugh my ass off. And other days, I just want to hear something that takes me out of the MS world. And it could be like a murder one, something completely nutty. Which is a real calming thing during this time, right? But anyway, so I noticed that when I would listen to yours, it was like, she's very similar to what I'm going for. And I would tell my husband, I want you to listen to her, because this is very much what I want. And so I'm so grateful to you, because I think for a lot of us that watched you and listened to you through the years, that it really inspired me. And after talking to you, to just move, just go, don't wait,
do it.
Just do it and get out there. And I've been doing quiet, advocacy and, speaking in local places and working with my MS patients. And really, I think as women, sometimes we don't take the credit for that. And I 100%. Thought, I need somebody to be with me in this. And really, yes. And I have to have their name behind me, but really understanding that we have that in us to do.
That's right. That
100%. And finding that. So I would definitely encourage that. Tell me, moving to something different, what is your, tell me from your morning to what does a day look like for you, and how do you work with health, like food? I know you're a big exerciser. I know that.
I do like to exercise. That's a lie. I hate exercising.
I know. Which my podcast.
Yes,
Move It.
I know. And you're right. Move it or lose it. But listen, that's one of the truths in this whole thing that I have hated to admit, but I have accepted it. And that is the truth. And it's good for anyone. I mean, you don't have to have a disease, but it took a disease for me to figure this shit out. But yes, I need to move or I'm going to lose it. And it's good for my mental health too.
Yes, it is.
So with my daughter just being gone, I can imagine I'm going to be exercising a little more. I like to dance. I'll say that. Here's what I hate. I hate like setting out to exercise. I like functional exercise. Yes. I like to mow the lawn when it's not too hot and I'm not too tired. I love to dance. So I will dance around here like a crazy person. Yeah. I do love to walk, but you know, we're in Southern Virginia and forget it in the summer. It's just hot and humid. These meteorologists have it so easy here. This is what they say for 3-4 months. Hazy, hot and humid, chance of thunderstorms. Hazy, hot and humid, chance of thunderstorms. That's it.
And we know how humidity is great for us.
I mean, God, it's so horrible. So I don't go outside is the bottom line. It's very rare. In fact, I'm getting my treadmill broke. So I'm just getting one delivered tomorrow, as a matter of fact. Okay. It just does so I want everybody to listen that hates exercise. Me too, brothers and sisters. Me too. But if you make it fun, like find what's fun for you and don't think of it as exercise. Yes. Really, I turn on music. I cannot help it. Yeah. I cannot help but move.
My MS, my MS or whatever autoimmune is what do you want to listen to? Because we can put music on, but I need you to connect the mind body. I can't have you, but definitely funny that you should say that. One of the things we do is a dance off. Is I'm like, all right, 60 seconds, go. Dance off. Yeah. I don't care how crazy you look, let's just dance.
I used to do that with my kids when they would be all ornery and I'd go, stop. Yes. Dance break. And I would just crank on some music. And one time I played back to back. My oldest Maggie May was little and she was in one of those moods, toddler shitty mood. And I turned on, I have to think of the song because it's so funny that this was her favorite song and she was like 3. Low Rider.
Oh gosh, that's funny. Rider. Yeah.
And I played that. I think I played it back to back super loud, like on 11, 6 times, but I wasn't stopping until she was giggling and I was dancing like a crazy woman. And then she started dancing and she started laughing. Yeah. I mean, I'm such a huge proponent for music can affect your mood so much 100%. That be mindful of what you're putting in there and what you're listening to, because, garbage in, garbage out. Get some good upbeat music going that makes you happy or makes you feel love or whatever it is that you're trying to elicit. Music can help. And for me, a good beat, I can't help but dance. It's embarrassing to my children, but I cannot help it. It's beyond me. My body just takes off. And so there's exercise. We'll chat
about your exercising after we're done. But no, God, so food wise, no, I won't yell at you. So tell me about food wise. How is that? I know that we both have looked into 14 million diets. Yeah. The Mediterranean, try this. And it's like.
Yeah. Yep. So here's what I landed on. I love food. Don't I sound like Oprah? I love bread, just like Oprah says. I do. And even worse, I love sugar. I'm a sugarholic. I'm not. My name is Kathy and I'm a sugarholic. I admit it. But particularly after a certain age, because I'm a woman of a certain age, after a certain age, and probably thanks to MS, all of those components together, sugar makes me feel like shit, period. Yeah. I'm so glad that it started making me feel poorly because I don't think I could have regulated it otherwise. I love it that much. I love chocolate.
I always feel so bad for my listeners that I'm not a sugar, I am a salt.
Oh, so I have to be careful. I like salt too, but
I can make popcorn every day.
Oh, yeah, me too. I would like to drizzle a little chocolate over it, but whatever. So once I started really paying attention, me too, paying attention to, it really started with, I noticed right after lunch, I just would tank when I ate a bunch of carbs, when I had that little extra piece of chocolate afterwards. Right. But if I ate some protein, I didn't feel badly. And so the funny thing about exercise and diet for me is I knew better. You can hardly not know better because it's everywhere, right?
Right.
I knew better. I don't know if it was arrogance or just wishing it didn't apply to me, but I didn't think it applied to me. Everyone else should eat better and everyone else should exercise, but I'm good. But yeah, that's not true as it turns out. And so, I try and exercise in terms of, I stretch like crazy every day.
Okay.
When I get I keep pointing upstairs, like, you know what I'm talking about, but that's where my treadmill's going.
Yeah.
And so I will get back in the rhythm of that. I was walking a minimum of 2 miles a day, when it was cool.
Right.
So I'll get back to that. And then my functional exercise that I like, that I enjoy, that I can listen to podcasts or listen to music and pull my weeds or mow my lawn or go for whatever, clean my house, those kinds of things. If I can feel like I'm accomplishing 2 things at once, my head just pops off. I'm so happy.
Oh,
it's stupid.
Yes.
So that's what I do. And it really, really makes a difference for me. I can tell if I haven't, and I can't, we all have trouble sleeping with MS, lots of sleep issues, right? Well, if I haven't exercised, sleep issues, I can't sleep if I've just been sitting around. And also for all you people having bowel and bladder issues, that impacts it too. So to get things moving, you need to get moving. I'm just saying, you know what I'm talking about.
It absolutely, that helps. You got to
move and everything gets moving.
Yep, absolutely. So it is really important. Obviously that's the heartbeat of my world.
That's all you, sister.
Yeah. That is what I live for. So
that's what you preach.
I do love that. So I want to know, when you are doing now, tell me about the launch. I want to know the launch. It's September. You go ahead.
Oh God.
Tell me what you're doing.
I'm excited. I'm so nervous. I can't even. Yes.
You're going to do great. This is going to be, I know you are just, you touch it, it'll turn to gold.
Oh, you're so sweet. Thank you. There's so much tech involved. That's the worst part about this whole thing. Like after this, I am full on head down creating and using all kinds of tech. So wish me luck. So I started to say, this is what I do. I digress. I kind of go bing, bing.
Oh, squirrel. It's okay. We're doing it together. We're 2 masters talking.
Right.
So
I know. So, I'll go back to my original statement. I had an epiphany in my garden pulling weeds that I'm making more money and I'm taking better care of myself. And at the same time, it hit me. It is your obligation to share this with people with chronic illness because this has benefited you. And you figured it out. Like, pain in the ass, took years, lots of money. Share your story, share your journey, leave the breadcrumbs, show others. So that was the complete intention of Patients Getting Paid. P.S. That name came to me while I was pulling those weeds at the same. All of this just was like, bam, this is what you need to do.
I love that because it draws you immedately because it's like, as I'm slowing down with stuff, I'm slowing down with, we had gotten out of the gym that we were in that was a high intensity circuit training and decided, no, we want to make it much smaller, more one-on-one. I want a studio for my autoimmune clients. I want an area that I can Zoom with them. So it is interesting when you want to do something, how would I do this and get paid for it? And so it drew me immediately. And when I say that to other people, check her out because she's going to be doing a Patients Getting Paid. And I love also on the email, you'll send out different opportunities.
Yeah. Thank you for saying that. Yes. So I just, that was actually 3 years ago when I had that epiphany. So what the hell took you so long? Well, let me tell you, it has been quite the path getting to where I am. I'll launch September 13th, 2021, because tech started all the nonsense and really was the death knell for a time because, I started out just posting on social. I started a social channel for Patients Getting Paid and just trying to take the temperature, and people were psyched immediately. So I'm like, okay, I'm onto something.
Right.
And started building it and just kind of behind the scenes started just making notes of what I wanted to teach and went back and forth. First, it was going to be a membership. And then it was going to be a course. And then it was back to a membership and back and forth and trying to decide what's the best delivery system for this. And I had landed on, well, let me start with this. I'm trying to think of which order the shit show started. Okay. So last fall, mid-COVID, my husband and I separated, which was horrible. And I had a flare, as you can imagine. I was planning on launching, that was in September. I was planning on launching my membership on 10/10/2020 because I loved the sound of that. 10/10/2020 just sounded great to me. This whole thing with my husband and I, we officially split September 13th. So you can see the time frame here. And so I had a flare and I'm laying in bed thinking about this whole, oh my God, I have to launch. I haven't even built this, blah, blah, and just had a meltdown and didn't get back to people on email, didn't publish a podcast for a couple of weeks. I really curled into a ball for a time. And I felt like I owed it to my community who's been so supportive of me to let them know what was going on. So I actually, I used to, until fairly recently, recorded my podcast in my closet. So there's lots of pictures on the internet of me in my closet.
Yeah.
It made for best acoustics. Anyway.
Right.
So I crawled into my closet in a ball and made this podcast episode. I didn't, I was so sad at the time. I didn't even I turned off the light and I just laid in there and I held the microphone and talked and just wanted to let everybody know what was going on. Cause I thought I didn't ghost you. I'm still here, but oh my God, I'm just going through some shit. I've still never listened to that episode. I don't know that I'll ever listen to that episode. Really? But get this, it's my number one most downloaded episode. So
I heard you say that and I was like, I am not surprised because that was so authentic and so real.
Well, that's the lesson to everyone. Be authentic, be vulnerable because people can't relate to somebody that isn't vulnerable.
Right.
We as human beings are vulnerable. And particularly in this space in chronic illness, we're going through some shit and you got to share your shit.
Absolutely.
Hashtag share your shit.
Share it because the thing is too, Kathy, is that, cog fog really affects you. Now for me, it was one of my first symptoms as well. But for me, the ability to write out the window.
Yeah.
So blogging and that kind of stuff is just, I
off
love
the
it.
table.
Just that was gone.
Yeah.
So to accept that writing for me wasn't, I get asked to write a piece. I'm like, I would need someone to help with that. I have a lot to say, but writing is something that for me just left.
Yeah.
Pretty immediate.
Yeah.
So, looking for people to help with that, writing some of the things that they want me to write. So for you, so that did not affect your ability to write?
It did not. Yeah. That's pretty surprising. Well, I will say when the cog fog is bad, I certainly can't write. I can't form full sentences. I can't speak. So if I've got a plan that day to write or to do a podcast episode, MS has a different plan for me. And I just have to, I will say this, MS has made me much more flexible. I used to be pretty rigid, like, this is my plan and I'm going to stick to the plan. And now MS is like, you just tell me your plan, girl. I'm going to show you my plan.
Absolutely. 100%. So, I would say that often. Yeah.
So I have to stick with, whatever MS is allowing, but, I do. So I started to go down that path of 10/10/2020, had the major flare, realized everything I had planned to deliver in a membership at that time, in that iteration, was so stressful. And here's the thing, when you have something like MS that is so unpredictable, to promise someone that you're going to do something in exchange for money, when you don't know from day to day that you can, is ridiculously stressful, which of course is that cycle then that puts you back in a relapse. So I had lots of epiphanies laying up in that bed for a couple of weeks and realized, okay, I can't do that. And then, all right, I'm going to switch my business model to, I'm going to build a course, and it's going to have all these different components and teach people about my patient advocacy business and how to do that. And share all kinds of different opportunities that I think fit into the chronic illness mold. So more people can come home, work from home, and take better care of themselves and still generate an income, whether that's one-offs, do some surveys. Lots of people don't even know that's available. You can work part-time. You can work full-time. You can do what I'm doing. You can start your own thing. You can work for others. Here's legit recruiters. I had plans of doing all this, and I had constructed most of the course, utilizing tech, getting through all that nightmare. And then in January, my computer crashed, and it took everything with it for the last 2.5 years. Everything.
Oh, no.
Lest you think that I am a total idiot, I was backing it up. But here's the thing. I had hired a company to come in and set up all the backup stuff, and it was supposedly backing up to Carbonite and here on site. So I should have been way covered. But what I found out in retrospect was, and again, maybe the techies will understand this. I did not. The hard drives have partitions, and the partition that my patients getting paid stuff was on was not ever being backed up. It wasn't set up correctly.
Oh, no.
And solely that, by the way.
Oh, geez.
Only that was lost.
Oh,
God. So I had to, reconnoiter, rethink the whole thing again. And I came back to, believe me, my life would be so much easier if I just did what I do. I'm making a very good living doing what I do, and I can have it done early in the morning. So life would be a lot less stressful. But I feel like I'm pulled to this. Like I have to do this. I've got to conquer this fucking tech and figure it out, because there's people out there who need this. They need to know all the opportunities that exist. And there are a ton that fit into what you can do, from home. More people's eyes are open now, thanks to COVID with, all the remote stuff. But there's things that are in particular, good options. Like I just found this, voiceover school. I mean, what a great opportunity. So I'm going to interview them and find out, like, what equipment do you need? How long does it take? What kind of money can you make doing this? Because that's the other thing. Nobody talks about money. That's so dumb. How can you make an informed decision if you don't know what kind of money you can make?
Exactly.
So I'm telling everybody that's coming on my podcast or into my membership, if I'm interviewing you, you're talking money, honey, because these people need to know what's available to them. And I'm being 100% transparent in talking about exactly how much I make for everything that I do. Just to allow people to understand. There's, like I said, particularly when I started, there was no guidebook. Nobody was even talking. It's like those people that knew about this industry were keeping it to themselves because that's limited jobs available. And talking about
I would say, honestly, Kathy, of all the people I've talked to, you've been the most open about that, because changing over, from a gym owner, a big gym, and then moving to a very, very small, and then moving into wanting to do more of the podcast, and then wanting to do more of my MS training, and letting go of the high intensity clients. It is a scary thing, because you're like, I don't know if I'm going to make enough money.
Right.
And there's nobody telling you, like, okay, well, gosh, it seems like I give this free content out, but if I schedule a workshop, our autoimmune world sometimes doesn't feel like they need to pay for stuff.
Right. Yeah. And I don't know where we've gotten this notion that to talk about money is crass.
Yeah. Right.
No, it's not. It's reality. We have to know what we're going to make. It just always cracks me up. Years ago when I would interview for a job, and it was considered like not good form to ask right away what you make. And I'm thinking, that's bullshit. Why am I going to spend my time interviewing for a job that I wouldn't take? I want to know up front. What are you paying?
I think I got the courage to do that, Kathy, when I became a single mom. And then it was
that'll give you courage
to mess with this interview. What am I making?
Yeah,
what I can do. So what are you paying me?
Right. So exactly. Let's save some time and just know. Yeah. So to be armed well, you need to know details like that. It is not crass. It is smart. So
tell me what I'm going to sign up. Tell me what I'm going to find in you got the 6-pack.
Yeah. Well, the 6-pack is FUMS. So if you go to FUMSnow.com, / get the scoop. That's it. Now I have 2 websites and 2 podcasts. I'm so confused.
I don't know how you're keeping this all together.
Yeah.
I already have notes everywhere.
FUMSnow.com / get the scoop. And you can sign up for the weekly newsletter. And that's just the top 6 topics in MS for that week. And it links to articles and it just talks about that. And then I have at patientsgettingpaid.com /list. You can sign up for
this will all be at the bottom of the show notes, guys. So don't freak out that you've got to get this all written down.
Awesome. That's where you'll get a weekly newsletter about patients getting paid. And it's everything, as you referenced, sometimes there's gig opportunities in there, condition specific gigs. Sometimes it's me talking about something I'm working on, what you can expect inside of Patients Getting Paid, which is launching September 13th. So it's tips and tricks on how to live the chronicpreneur lifestyle, how to prepare for it, all of those kinds of things. So they're quite different, but, complementary as well.
Yes. So now what is, if you don't mind me asking, I want patients to know, getting on this, they can expect some help and obviously in ways that they can get paid. And then what is the cost of the course?
So it's actually back to a membership now. I went back to my original, which, I want to also just suggest to everybody, really pay attention to your gut, because your gut is typically correct.
Very
and that was
true.
that was my initial gut instinct, was this should be a membership. And so I've gone back to a membership, and here's why. Community is so important. And particularly during COVID, we recognized how much we're missing, right?
Yes.
So what I'm doing with Patients Getting Paid is bringing the community, the chronic illness community together. So we have this shared language and the shared understanding and the shared burden.
Absolutely.
So first and foremost, this is a community of people with chronic illness. And we're going to be talking about how we do shit day to day and how we live and tips and tricks and all those kinds of things. There's also monthly trainings in there on things like the voiceover and like how to start a podcast and how to build your own website. And things like I've got an attorney that's coming to talk about disability and how SSDI and how you can maintain your SSDI and still make money. And there's some criteria. It's tricky. Right. So you need to know the deal, a ticket to work program, but he's going to explain that, a health insurance broker, because when I polled people, everyone said, yes, this is super interesting. This sounds great, but I'm not comfortable leaving my employer because that's who I have my insurance through. And so let's not. We could go there. That's some bullshit. That is ridiculous that our health insurance is tied to an employer.
That could be a second part, because I may make this into 2 parts.
Ridiculous.
And that is absolutely nuts.
It is crazy, but it is what it is for now. And so I'm bringing on a health insurance broker to talk about the reality of that. Yes, you can get insurance on your own, and it can be good and it can be affordable. Yes. The verbiage that has gone around has gotten very politicized, and run through that filter, it sounds like you're stuck, and you're not. Absolutely. There are opportunities for good insurance affordably. Yes.
And so many of our chronic don't know that. I didn't know that. As a single mom, I worked in a job I should never have been working that hard. It was very physical. And I
because of insurance.
Oh, you did. It was $700 a month.
Yeah.
So it was paying, the house, all the other stuff. Yes. And then coming up with this extra money. And it killed me.
Yeah.
It just
it's ridiculous.
Good advice.
So I'm trying to anticipate what people's concerns are, and then, interview people. So it's both podcast and then the membership. And the membership, I think I've mentioned 18 times, sorry. September 13th, it launches, and that is a founding members launch. And what I mean by that is It's new, and I'm inviting people in to help me build it. And so I will have some things in there, but it's not going to be completed at all.
Right.
I've got lots of ideas, but I want other people's ideas too. I want people's what you need, what you want, and then we can build it together. And so in exchange for that help, I'm offering the lowest monthly price it'll ever be. And I will freeze that for life as long as you maintain your membership at $19 a month.
Yeah, I
with
love that.
the estimation that eventually it will continue to go up. In fact, I'm offering that from the 13th to the 20th, and that's it. And then it will automatically jump up in price with the estimate of it eventually going to $99 a month. So incrementally, as more content gets in there and more trainings are in there, and they will be maintained in there. So you don't have to feel like you have to be on there live.
Right.
Obviously the value increases, and so the price is going to increase. So get in there.
I love that you're putting it out there with no feeling like I got to say this, I'm nervous to say it, because it is worth it. And we know that something that's given free, a lot of times they won't show up, or it's not, it makes it so it's not valuable. And what you're putting together is extremely valuable. Well, and you need to get paid for it.
Yeah, I do need to get paid for it, for God's sake. But also,
we have bills.
We do have bills, and I do think it's valuable. Also, I'm having resources in there, like a list of places. So my training, the one that I consider myself, quote unquote, an expert, not really an expert, but I've done it, is patient advocacy. And I hate that term, by the way. I have yet to come up with a good term for it, but
I know, me too.
I don't know what the hell to call it, but
I don't know.
That's what I'm calling it. And just a list of places that you could, that do hire patients for condition specific stuff, and for articles, and for this and for that. And then also I'll have a templated email in there, so you don't have to be nervous about, oh my God, I don't even know how to approach these people. Well, now you know who to approach, and just plug and play, put your stuff in the templated email and send it out. So lots and lots of resources, a ton of resources in there. And then one of the things that I'm most encouraged about and excited about is I'm starting a registry, a condition specific registry, because I have gotten I've been approached by so many companies that are looking for condition specific patients for various gigs, even for things like clinical trials. I mean, everything paid, by the way, but they're looking to me, they find me with as they're doing their research under patients getting paid, and they come to me and they're looking for, we're looking for people with lupus. We're looking for people with all these different things. So I'm starting this registry. So when they come to me, I can just pull down the information and send it to them.
Yeah.
So
I love that.
You get included in that too, in this.
Yes.
So.
Yeah. I think it's
some
important.
Good perks.
Absolutely. I saw that and I was like, love it. So definitely check it out. If you've not checked this out, please do so, because it's well worth it. And there's so many of us that are high functioning and we want to do, but we know we need to slow down. Yeah. So it's like, I'm right there in that spot where I'm slowing things down, but now like I still have to make an income and, learning how to do that. And it can be tricky.
Yeah, it can be tricky, and navigating that can be tricky. And I've done a lot of coaching in the last couple years now with other chronic disease warriors. And a lot of what I do is just listening to their life experience and listening to what they need, and helping them, just utilizing my experience in this world to say, you know what you would be great at, or have you ever thought of, and that sort of thing. And I'm doing 2 office hours, AMAs, ask me anything. Who knows what we're going to call it, but 2 a month. So, for that $19, you're not only getting trainings and these registries and all these resources, but I'm also, and I'll be in there too. And you're networking and meeting with other people. So think, joint ventures and collaborations that could come out of that.
Absolutely.
And I'll be putting gig opportunities in there as well. But also at least twice a month, I'll be having open, office hours, Zoom meetings where anybody can jump in there, ask me anything, and we'll noodle it together and come up maybe with a plan of what you can do.
So Kathy, my question is, where is this energy coming from?
Oh my God, coffee. Coffee's it.
I always
And
say,
every day.
I don't like sugar, but by 8 p.m., that Pinot Noir is calling for me.
Amen,
It's calling.
sister.
Kathy Chester, you need to have a little glass of Pinot Noir to chill out.
Yeah.
And so
right.
I had
like
to tell Matthew Embry, I was like putting away all my stuff when I interviewed him, my water, that's it.
Yeah,
so
right.
Like the guilt of like, it's like, I know, no cheat. But I'm like, but the Pinot Noir is just.
Yeah, that's not a cheat. That's medicine.
No, it is.
That's medicine.
It is. So I love that. I'd love to do another one once it gets started. And I'd love to like talk about how it's going, what the best parts are, what the most aggravating parts are. And love to, I'm going to be right with you. I'm going to be signing up today. And looking forward to it for sure.
Thanks. And so for now, I mean, it's not open, but you can go to patientsgettingpaid.com/list and get on the list, which is the waiting list. You will be the first to know when it launches, and you want to get in on that deal.
Again, but also show notes too.
You will also, in the meantime, be getting the weekly newsletter too. So
which I've enjoyed tremendously.
Good.
I love
good.
So,
thanks. There should be a new one in your email this morning.
All right, good deal. I really just can't thank you enough. I love what you do. It's been
love what you do.
Thank you. You are an inspiration to so many of us. And if we could just get you moving.
Well, I'm stretching and I'm getting my treadmill delivered tomorrow. So
I am doing a video on YouTube of stretching and what that feels like in the morning, and how I do that rather than just jumping out of bed. Because I noticed, as things progress, my body that used to jump out of bed and then go start training, doesn't do that anymore.
No, so and that's probably a combination of age and MS. And but I'll tell you what I have learned in the last year that's really helped me for that is before I get out of bed, I do really stretch, and I am very mindful. I go all the way up from my toes, just check in with everything. And I add a little gratitude in there, and I will literally speak to every part of my body and say, thank you, feet. Like, thank you. Thank you for feeling. I'm so grateful that I can feel you this morning. And thank you for holding me up all day. And thank you. I'm setting out the intention that we are going to stay upright today and not going to fall. And thank you, arms, and all the way up. And it just puts me in the right mindset. And I'm also stretching. So it's that mind body connection you talk about.
I do. Important. I do love that stretching in the morning. I think I could not believe how many of our MSers in chronic pain did not really understand that was so important, and for our bodies just to be jolted out. And I love the gratitude part too. And as you know, I love Jesus and I cuss a little. And so, but I think starting off my morning without cussing and gratitude works better. And then I can work my way up to cussing during the day.
You can save them up for later.
Exactly. So I love this stretching. Like I said, I'll have that on YouTube, but love what you're doing. Very excited. Thank you so much for being on my podcast.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Congratulations on everything you're doing. Thanks so much for supporting our community as you are. Really appreciate you.
Absolutely. What we always say in ours is we have come to disrupt your idea of what you cannot do with MS and really help you understand you can do more. So movement, but we are here to disrupt
you can.
Yes. So we are disrupting you.
Disrupt it and say FUMS. That helps too.
Yep, that's right. Disrupt your shit and FUMS. So,
I love it. Love that.
With that, I will, I'm going to go ahead and we're done with ours. Thank you so much. And I will chat with you in a second.
All right.
So thank you guys. Great interview today. It will, so happy that this will also be on YouTube soon. So you'll be able to hear us and see us. So thanks. Have a great day, morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are. So with that, goodbye, guys.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today on Move It or Lose It podcast, where you can again find us every Tuesday, and also wherever you like your podcasts, whether it's Apple, Spotify, Stitcher. Join us on that, and we can't wait to see you again. We're going to have a lot of exciting guests and working together. And as always, you'll hear us say at the end of every podcast, we are stronger together. So let's do it. Let's become stronger together.